Hi, I'm Emily. Life was pretty sweet. I had just gotten engaged to David, the love of my life. He proposed with a stunning ring that wasn't just any piece of jewelry. It was a family heirloom passed down from my grandmother. That ring wasn't just a symbol of our upcoming marriage. It was a piece of my family's history, a link to the past, and a beacon for our future. My family is close-knit, but not without its complexities. My sister Sarah is a single mom, and life hasn't been easy for her. Financial struggles are a constant, and raising her son Alex on her own hasn't been simple. Mom and Dad often step in to help, both financially and emotionally. I do my part too, looking after Alex whenever I can, which is often because I adore that kid. One Sunday, the whole family was over at my place for dinner. The air was filled with laughter and the savory aroma of Mom's cooking. But amidst the warmth and joy, I noticed Sarah's glances at my ring. They were subtle, but there was something in her eyes, a mix of admiration and something else. Maybe envy or desperation. It troubled me. Wedding plans must be a nightmare, huh? Sarah asked as she sipped her coffee, her eyes lingering on the ring. I laughed, brushing off her tone. Actually, it's going well. David and I are enjoying the process. It's like crafting our dream day, piece by piece. That ring must have cost a fortune, she remarked with a slight edge to her voice. It's not up a cost, Sarah. It's special because it's from Grandma, you know that. Yeah, I know. Just saying, it's a lot sitting on one finger. That kind of money could solve a lot of problems. I felt a wave of discomfort rising but shrugged it off. Well, it's not going anywhere. It's meant for moments of joy, not to solve problems. Dad, always the peacemaker, chimed in. Let's not talk money now, it's family time. Emily, tell us more about the venue you picked out. The conversation moved on, but Sarah's words lingered in my mind. I loved my sister and knew her life wasn't easy, but the ring was a symbol of my future, not a lifeline for financial woes. In the weeks that followed, I continued my wedding planning, blissfully unaware that a seed of desperation had already been planted in Sarah's mind. Our lives were about to get a lot more complicated, and that Sunday's harmony was just the calm before the storm. Little did I know, my support for Sarah, despite the red flags, would soon be tested beyond anything I could have imagined. Everything came crashing down the morning I couldn't find my ring. It was a routine morning until then. Coffee brewing, sun shining, and I was getting ready for work. That ring had its special spot on my dresser, but it wasn't there. Panic doesn't even begin to describe what I felt. I tore through the house, overturning everything but found nothing. My heart sank deeper with each passing second. Then a sinking realization hit me. The last family dinner, Sarah's eyes on my ring, her comments, pieces of a horrible puzzle fell into place. I didn't want to believe it, Sarah, not my sister. But I had to know. While she was at work, I made my way to her house. We never kept secrets, never needed to. Her purse was on the kitchen counter, and buried under grocery receipts was a pawn shop receipt for my ring. When Sarah came home, I confronted her immediately. Why, Sarah? How could you? She froze, then sighed, the fight leaving her as she slumped into a chair. I didn't know what else to do, Em. Alex needed that tuition money, and I thought I'd be able to buy it back before you noticed. That was Grandma's ring, Sarah. You didn't just pawn a piece of jewelry, you pawned my trust. I'm sorry, Emily. I really am. It was wrong. But I was desperate. You should have come to me. We could have figured something else out together, Sarah said, her voice trembling with regret. Our parents were the next to know. Mom cried, and Dad's face went ashen as they listened to us argue. The air was thick with disappointment and disbelief. You have to forgive her, Emily. She's your only sister, Mom pleaded, her voice quivering with emotion. No, Mom, I can't. Not this time. This was too far. The divide grew, with Sarah on one side, full of regrets, and me on the other, my heart broken, not just by the loss of the ring, but by the betrayal. It was a chasm filled with hurt and tarnished trust, and none of us knew how to bridge it. The fallout was messier than I could have imagined. Family gatherings turned awkward, filled with unspoken words and forced smiles. Friends picked sides without fully understanding the rift. Sarah tried to make amends, offering to pay back every cent, but the damage was done. The ring was just a symbol. What she really needed to return was something intangible, my trust. And that wasn't something you could simply buy back from a pawn shop. I started by reaching out to Jenna, a good friend who had also been hurt by Sarah in the past. Over coffee one morning, I spilled everything. Jenna wasn't surprised. Can't say I'm shocked, Em. She's been sketchy for a while. What are you thinking? I want to expose her, Jenna, not just for me, but for all of us she's hurt. I'm thinking social media, community boards, anywhere her actions can be spotlighted without me having to go too public. Jenna nodded, sipping her latte. Subtle but effective. Count me in. We spent hours planning, gathering stories from others, compiling evidence, and crafting posts that highlighted Sarah's pattern without stepping into defamation, just the hard truths. Each post was designed to resonate, to make others think twice about the Sarah they thought they knew. It started slowly, a shared post here, a whispered story there, but soon it picked up speed. One evening, I heard from an old neighbor. Emily, I saw your post. I couldn't believe it was Sarah doing all that. Really eye-opening. Thanks for reaching out. It's important that people know who they're really dealing with. As more people talked, Sarah's reputation began to crumble. Invitations dried up, her social circle shrank. The real kicker came when her employer caught wind of the controversy. They called her in, questioned her integrity, and by the end of the week, she was out of a job. Can you believe they fired me over some stupid rumors? Sarah confronted me one day at Mom's house, her eyes blazing. They're not rumors if they're true, Sarah. You did this to yourself. This is how you get back at me, by ruining my life. You ruined mine first, Sarah. I trusted you. She scoffed, looking around as if hoping for an ally. But even Mom and Dad had little to say, their disappointed glances telling their own story. Sarah's voice broke as she spoke again. I was desperate, Emily. I never meant for any of this to happen. I thought you'd understand. Maybe forgive me. Forgiveness isn't just given, Sarah. It's earned. And right now, I can't see myself getting there anytime soon. Leaving Sarah in the living room, I stepped out into the backyard, feeling a mix of relief and sorrow. It wasn't just about exposing her. It was about setting things right, or at least as right as they could be, given the mess. The community hall buzzed with anticipation. It was the annual neighborhood gala, and normally I would be excited. Tonight, though, my stomach churned with a mix of nerves and resolve. Tonight, Sarah's actions would come to light, not just to a few, but to everyone that mattered in our community. As the evening rolled on, whispers grew into conversations. Screens displayed emails, texts, and transactions, all meticulously verified and presented. The crowd's mood shifted as the realization of Sarah's deceit sank in. Can't believe Sarah would go that far, someone muttered nearby. Taking advantage of her own sister, that's just cold, another added. The room's temperature seemed to drop a few degrees when Sarah walked in. Her eyes widened as she took in the screens, the whispering crowd, her world unraveling in real time. Emily, please, can we go outside and talk? Her voice was barely a whisper amid the growing murmurs of the hall. Outside, under the faint glow of the streetlights, Sarah looked smaller somehow, diminished. Why did you have to do it like this, Emily? In front of everyone? This wasn't just about me, Sarah. It's about all the people you hurt, all the trust you broke. It wasn't right to keep that hidden. I know I messed up, but this is my life falling apart, Sarah whispered, her voice breaking. It was your choices that brought us here, not mine, I replied, watching as tears rolled down her cheeks unchecked. I know, she nodded, her voice trembling. I hope there might be a way back. Not this time, Sarah, not for a while. As Sarah walked away, the weight of our fractured relationship settled heavily on my shoulders. But life had to go on, and I needed to reclaim mine. The next day, I returned to the pawn shop. Seeing the ring again, a symbol of so much pain and love, was bittersweet. I'd like to buy this back, I told the owner, handing over the cash. It felt like a small victory, a piece of my past restored. The weeks that followed were a blur of preparation and celebration. David and I decided on a small wedding, just close friends and family who had stood by us through the storm. The day was perfect. As I walked down the aisle, the ring securely on my finger, I saw Sarah at the back. There was no interaction, just a silent acknowledgement of her presence. We exchanged vows under the soft glow of sunset, the simple ceremony a stark contrast to the complexities of the past months. Afterward, as David and I mingled with our guests, I felt lighter than I had in months. You made it through, Emily, David whispered, squeezing my hand. I did. We did. I corrected him, smiling up into his eyes. And as the night drew to a close, I realized that while the path to this point had been anything but straight, every step, every decision had been necessary. Sarah watched from a distance, and I felt a pang of sadness for what could have been. But some distances are necessary, some bridges too burn to cross again. That's the end of my story. Thanks for being here and for listening to my journey. If you found a piece of your own struggles in mine, remember, we're stronger than we think, and sometimes moving forward is the only way. Before you go, I have a question for you. If you were in Emily's shoes, would you have handled the situation with Sarah the same way? Do you believe in giving second chances to family members who betray your trust, or do some betrayals cut too deep to ever forgive? Would you have exposed Sarah publicly or dealt with it privately? I'm really curious to know how you would have approached this situation. It's a tough one, and I bet everyone has a different take on it. Let's get a conversation going in the comments. Your opinions might help someone else who's dealing with a similar situation. Do you think Emily's approach was justified, or was there a better way to handle it? And what about Sarah? Does she deserve a shot at redemption after what she did? If you enjoyed this story or found it thought-provoking, please give the video a thumbs up. It really helps us out. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more stories like this one. We'd love to have you join our community. Thanks for watching, and I can't wait to see your thoughts in the comments below.